well, this is the werewolf. Okay. This is the ood.
Right. Oh yeah.
The ood here. This is the ood. Is it odd or is it ood? It's an ood, okay. Two are Daleks.
Right.
Okay. My evilest enemies ever.
Your evilest enemies. Why yours?
Because I'm missing and I'm a doctor.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Hello everybody, my name's George. On the internet, I'm called Ace Creeper. I'm a YouTuber who occasionally makes Doctor Who content. You might have heard of me. I've been on the platform for 5 years and 11 months, almost exactly. And today I've hit one of the biggest milestones I've ever reached, or ever dreamed to have reached on this channel. And that is 10,000 subscribers. At some point in their lives, there have been 10,000 people who at some point have looked at this channel and thought it was mildly decent enough to press a little red button at the top of the page. And that is a massive number. Almost 2 million total views on the channel now, 10,000 of you subscribed and want to see more. It's an insane number. It's a scary number. And I don't really know what to say, quite frankly. I've had a long time to look at this and think, what exactly should I say? Thank you, is what I really want to say. I want to say thank you because I do what I do because it's fun. I make Doctor Who content because I enjoy talking about my favourite ever TV show that I've ever seen. And that's it. The fact that there's enough people out there to make up 10,000 of you who have looked at my channel and thought, this is actually pretty good. I really appreciate that. Even if the 10,000 people specifically aren't watching now, because I doubt this video will get anywhere near 10,000 views. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed, because even if you subscribe and never watch any of my videos again, it means a lot to me to see that number go up. To see a view go up or a subscriber go up is a massive deal to me, because I don't know, I can't explain it, but thank you. Before we move any further with this overly dramatic and whatever video, I'd like to mention a couple of things. First of all, I did say I'd be opening a PO box for my 10k subscriber special. Now, because it's midweek, because we jumped up quite quickly towards 10k, I've not had the time to actually go and open the PO box yet. So, I will make a video when I've got that ready, and in which case that will be for you to send anything in, whether it be letters, anything like physical, whatever. I'll do an unboxing, hopefully, a few weeks after I've opened it, and see what all of you guys maybe or may not have sent into the inbox. That was a really weird sentence, but yeah, so hopefully that'll be soon. When that is ready, I'll make a video talking about it, so if you are wanting to send something into the PO box for me to unbox and open and have a look at on a video, then all the details will be available very, very soon when I set it up. But for this video, I decided to do something I've been requested for back all the way in last year, and it was requested many, many times, is to talk about how I got into Doctor Who. It's something I answer quite a lot, but not in detail. I wanted to go in detail, talk about my first memories of Doctor Who, how I got into Doctor Who, how I got into YouTube from there, and what content I made, and how I came to where I'm at now. A person on the internet who talks about his favourite TV show of all time. So, I thought I'd use the help of videos, photos and all that sort of thing to accompany me, as well as some hopeful nice background music for you to enjoy, and hopefully it isn't too boring. So, let's get going. Starting with 2005, Doctor Who returns back on TV. Little George here is only 4 years old. I was born in 2001, March, so I was probably a bit young for Doctor Who at the time. But I do have my first memory of it. Of course, I didn't sit down and watch the series because, again, a bit young for it, but my dad was. My dad was a massive fan of the Tom Baker era and stopped watching around Colin Baker when he was younger and got older and got a job and all that sort of thing, and kind of moved on. But when it was coming back, he was very excited about it, and he introduced me to it. Not so much the way I'd have thought, looking back on it. My first memory was walking into the living room, seeing my dad watching the show, and the episode that was on air was Dalek. My first ever memory was seeing the Dalek at the bottom of the stairs with them running away from it, and the Dalek started levitating. It said the deep, graspy Dalek voice of elevate, and it slowly started to rise up those stairs. I don't remember much after that, but according to my dad, I ran off screaming up the stairs, didn't like it, wasn't a fan of it. But the next year, 2006, was when I really did get into Doctor Who. My dad decided to introduce me to Doctor Who properly, and by that point we had series 1 and 2, so we watched them back to back, all the way through. When I came back in from school, or before school, whenever I was free, I'd watch an episode of Doctor Who with him. In that year I discovered Regeneration, the Daleks, the TARDIS, the Time Lords. And the final episode I watched was Rose's departure in Doomsday. I remember being in floods of tears when I saw Rose flying towards the void. I'd never experienced the loss of a companion before. That was new to me. And I remember being quite sad and quite upset, and yeah, it was genuinely quite sad. But that was it for the catch-up. We were caught up, we were ready. Later that year came Christmas, of course, as it does with every single year, but this was Christmas 2006. The Runaway Bride was about to air on TV. Christmas was all well and done. I can't remember much of it because, again, I was only 5 years old, but I've got photos, and looking back, as you can probably see on screen hopefully, Doctor Who figures, Cassandra, the 10th Doctor, Rose, the 9th Doctor, a TARDIS playset, Sonic Screwdriver, all that sort of stuff. It was all there, and I had it because it seems that within this year period, I'd got into Doctor Who, and I was a massive fan of it. Nothing had ever really taken over my life that much like Doctor Who had, other than two things before. They were Star Wars and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, two things I practically grew up on. And with the Star Wars films obviously coming out over the younger age and finishing in 2005, it wasn't a massive thing in my life anymore, neither were the Spider-Man films. Doctor Who was this new thing that I discovered that I really wanted to look at in more detail. I have vivid memories of going on the Doctor Who website and looking at the different games, the Dalek game, the K9 game, the Clockwork Droid game I remember being terrified of, don't know why, just didn't like the Clockwork Robots, couldn't stand them, terrifying, still are, really. But those sorts of things I just have vivid memories of looking back on and going, no, that sort of thing, and nostalgic, having that lovely bit of nostalgia to hold them memories up, especially with the Doctor Who website and all those games and all that sort of thing. Attack of the Grask, vivid memories of this sort of thing. 2007 was the first Doctor Who series I saw live on TV, week after week. I experienced many first times during that Doctor Who series, including obviously the first different companion being Martha. Loved her straight away. The Daleks were back, Evolution of the Daleks. The costumes were coming out. I got a blue David Tennant costume, I think, that Christmas, 2007. I also got like a human Dalek voice changer mask or something along those lines. But I also remember the first time I ever hid behind the sofa watching Doctor Who. It's a thing that's been with Doctor Who for a long time, that was intention. The kids should be hiding behind the sofa scared. And it's not the episode you're thinking, because it's not Blink. In fact, I loved Blink when I was younger. I appreciated it. I did find them a little bit creepy, the Weeping Angels, but I wasn't terrified of them. Not anywhere near as much as I was terrified of the Lazarus Experiment. Couldn't stand it. Absolutely terrifying. There's just something about that weird mythological type creature with its open mouth, scorpion type look, and the way it was just a human that kind of transformed into something. It was just, something about it was just really creepy and scary, and I don't know what, but I do remember hiding literally behind the sofa. I remember. Also in 2007 was my first experience going to some sort of real life Doctor Who exhibition. I went to the Doctor Who exhibition, which was up in Manchester at the time, I believe, and I have fond memories of this. Got lots of photos of it as well, so you can see those. Standing with all the different suits and things from the show, going inside a Dalek and moving the little things about. Everything about that experience was so hitting for me. I was like, oh my god, I love this. It's brilliant, and it was so up my alley. I remember buying the 10th Doctor Flight Control TARDIS. In fact, this exact 10th Doctor Flight Control TARDIS at that Doctor Who exhibition in Manchester, all the way back from 2007. And it's still going strong. Yeah, it does mean a lot to me, and I remember that memory very well. It was my 6th birthday, I think, and even my birthday cake was a little David Tennant in the TARDIS. Brilliant. But yeah, it's fair to say I was quite obsessed with the show at that point, despite only watching it for a year. I have vivid memories of watching Stolen Earth and watching David Tennant regenerate, being scared, wondering which companion was going to leave. I remember seeing all the magazines, the TV magazines saying, one will die, one will leave. Who is it going to be? I thought it was going to be Rose that died, but obviously, yeah, that was kind of spun off. I remember the Next Time trailer not showing you any David Tennant for Journey's End, and it was scary, and I was like, oh my god, what's the next Doctor? Who's the next Doctor going to be? Eventually, we obviously worked out it wasn't David Tennant. The episode played out as it did. But the next year, it happened for real. David Tennant announced he was leaving, and the announcement had me flooded in tears once again. 8 years old this time, 2009. And I remember watching The End of Time Part 2 with great fondness. Now, looking back on it, it's a terrible episode, but at the time, watching my childhood hero look through all of his friends, look upon all of them, and accept his change, and me accepting as a child and a long fan of David Tennant from, like, you know, when I was like 4 or 5 years old to like now where I'm sort of 8, 9 years old. At that point, it was scary to see him go, and I didn't want him to. And it happened. Floods of tears, hated it, and I instantly just didn't like the new Doctor. When I saw him on Confidential, I remember going, I don't like him, he's just a David Tennant ripoff. Literally, I remember saying those words, and how wrong was I? Because Matt Smith, this little boy over here, ended up being one of my favourite Doctors, if not my absolute favourite Doctor. I remember the 11th Hour coming back, watching it in the caravan, and electric, straight away, instantly clicked with Matt Smith, loved him as the Doctor, loved the new TARDIS, loved everything about the show, and my love, once again, for the Doctor Who TV show was growing and growing and growing, and it peaked in 2011 when watching Series 6. Now, a lot of people didn't really like Series 6, as is very evident now, and looking back on it, it's not my favourite series, but at the time, I have a lot of childhood nostalgia for it, and looking at it, and the silence and theorising, and that was the first time I'd actually been sort of old enough to start theorising about what's going to happen this series, who's going to be in the astronaut suit, and I hold to this day, I guessed from episode 1 it was going to be River Song, absolutely nailed it. Well done, little 10-year-old George, high five. You're not here, but it's fine, it's good, I'm a genius. Anyway, after all that Doctor Who love and all that sort of thing came 2013. After watching the whole way through Series 7, it's fair to say I was quite excited to find out that my childhood hero David Tennant, or the 10th Doctor, will be appearing in the Doctor Who 50th anniversary. I went to go and watch it with my dad, granddad and little brother. My little brother dressed in the same David Tennant costume that I had and that I got for Christmas back when I was about 6 years old. But 12-year-old me was dressed in quite possibly the worst Matt Smith cosplay you will ever see in your life. It looks awful, but there was something about it where, despite it looking awful, despite it looking a bit weird, it was exciting. It was the first time I got dressed up as a Doctor. It was the first time I'd gone out to see something as big as this. Simulcast of the biggest Doctor Who episode possibly in history. Like, this is the biggest event. The simulcast of the 50th anniversary in cinema. What an experience. What an experience that was. Like, I loved it. I fell in love with this episode as I was watching it, and I can't describe what that experience was like. Being in a cinema full of Doctor Who fans, people who love the show, people who are ecstatic and so happy to be there, waving their sonic screwdrivers about, wearing their fezzes. Just a community. A community that you just feel a part of, and that was a brilliant experience that I will hold with me as a Doctor Who fan for as long as I can live. Also in 2013, started the YouTube channel. I started making Minecraft stuff, but, you know, alongside that, I am still a Doctor Who fan. My third ever video being a video on the Minecraft Dalek mod. And it's very early stages, it's a very bad quality video, but it is there, I'm talking about it, and you know, it's still on the channel, so go and check that out if you're interested. But it's just good to look back and go, even still, like, I wasn't making Doctor Who content then, but I was, and I made a one-off Doctor Who video just out of the blue because it interested me, and it's nice to see that kind of come full circle almost 6 years later.
This is the Dalek mod. And
exterminate.
That's a Dalek, and I'm gonna have to kill it because I can't be putting up with that much
Let's just turn the sound down just a bit, just so you'll hear them.
In 2014, I was lucky enough to go to the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff. As a 13th birthday present, we went down there, met a few family members, but whoa, again, the Doctor Who experience, what, I mean, it is an experience, that's all it is, that's all I can really describe it as. It wasn't the big fleshed out version that was around sort of at the end of Series 10, but it was good enough. It had everything from Matt Smith's era and backwards. To stand in David Tennant's TARDIS console and look upon what I'd seen on screen for many, many years. Look at all the classic consoles, look at all the classic boxes, the monster costumes, the Doctor costumes, everything. And walk through that wonderful experience where you get to fly the TARDIS, you get to walk through a little forest area where the Weeping Angel's coming closer and closer, and I nearly jumped a mile. Bloody hell. That was scary. You told me, jump there. Anyway, what was I saying? Weeping Angels going back and forward, up and down, all that sort of thing, and it's such a shame it's closed now, and I hope they bring something like it back in the future, because it was an experience, it was something beautiful, and it really did kind of rekindle my love for Doctor Who at the time. You know, the 50th anniversary, my favourite Doctor, Matt Smith, regenerating, and then the Doctor Who experience, all before welcoming a new Doctor that very year. It was exciting. My YouTube channel at the time wasn't really Doctor Who related. Did a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, so that's fun / regrettable / yes. Gmod, I did a lot of Gmod and Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. I had a big sort of community in that, and to be honest with you, the reason I did Five Nights at Freddy's was because it got views, it got subscribers. People were interested in watching it, so I kept making it. That went on for a few years before I kind of stopped though. In 2015, I had my first elements of actual Doctor Who content, like consistently. I started reviewing Series 9 of Doctor Who as it came out. Please don't watch them because I did give Hellbent a glowing review, and looking back on it, I'm an idiot. They're very badly looked at, and they're very bad quality. They're literally, it's just a slowed down version of the Next Time trailer with me talking over it. It's bad. It is bad, and it is terrible quality. I know I'm not great now, but back then it was even worse.
Because there's so much I can say bad about this episode. So yes, 1.5 out of 5. That's the final decision. Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment for any more review or Doctor Who based suggestions, a subscription if you haven't already. That's my face when I saw this episode.
In 2016, obviously no Doctor Who. I didn't review Class, didn't really talk about that. But I did do a live stream. I did a charity live stream in December where I raised money and awareness for the Teenage Cancer Trust. A big event that I wanted to do. I took inspiration from the Yogscast and their live stream events. I took inspiration from a YouTuber called Dorko, who was big in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. Believe he still is, if there's anyone in the Five Nights at Freddy's community. No offence. None taken. I took inspiration from him because he'd done a similar thing where he'd done a fundraising thing. I wanted to do something like that. And I did. I thought, 10 hours. We'll do 10 hours. 10 hours of me sitting on a computer and we'll raise a bit of money for charity.
We're here. I'm so excited. Merry Christmas and welcome to our first ever hella long live stream. That's all I can play. Hello, Tom. Donating £10 and I reached the party early. Someone's donated 10 quid. Okay. Thank you for that.
Aim was £100 and we raised about £150, £160, something like that. I was over the moon with myself and the fact that this little community that I had was able to do such a wonderful job. The reason I'm mentioning this live stream is because we're going to talk about it a lot of depth in just a minute. But anyway, 2017 came, Doctor Who Series 10 came, and I started talking about it and reviewing them in the same style as I did for the previous series once again.
The Brody video today. Really exciting news. I am buzzing, as you can probably tell by tone. Oh my god. John Sim is returning as the Master in Season 10 of Doctor Who.
It was slightly better quality, but not too much better. But I did start doing a few things like Doctor Who news, where I started talking, you know, like when John Sim was announced to come back. I did talk about that on a video because Five Nights at Freddy's was dying out. I had nothing to make content on. I just kind of wanted to go. I'll go back to Doctor Who. You know, I love Doctor Who as a TV show. I'll talk about it. I'll have passion for it. I'll just talk about it. And I met people in the community. Harry's Moving Castle, for example, is a great guy I met around that time. Along with some other great content creators who, sadly, I don't keep in touch with as much now. Probably should. My bad. Sorry. But yeah, no, I started making Doctor Who Series 10 content, and it got a bit more views. You know, it actually got up there a little bit. Not too much to where it was kind of balancing out what I used to make with Five Nights at Freddy's, but enough that it was kind of up there at a decent size and amount. But again, it was enough to keep me talking about Doctor Who. So later that year, I reviewed Twice Upon a Time, reviewed a bit of Star Wars, decided I wanted to go into reviews a little bit and do those fun little skits, which I decided to do. Did another charity live stream that December. Came 2018, one of the best years of my life as a person and as a content creator on YouTube. I was kind of at the point where I was like, yeah, this YouTube thing's getting a bit old now, but you know, I'm going to keep it up for a little bit longer. And then I started making Doctor Who stuff. I started talking about Series 11 because I was excited for the new series. I wanted to see what they were coming out with. It was so secretive. No one was really talking about any of the filming pictures and any of the theories that people were having and the ideas of it. It was a big era, big change. First female Doctor, new showrunner, new TARDIS, new Screwdriver, new everything. It was exciting stuff and we needed to talk about it. We discuss it and explore that. And January, February, I started doing that. And from February, March, April, May, June, the subscribers, the views started coming in, and my channel grew, not just as a content creator, but as a person and as a community, and I can't thank you all enough for that, because even last year, that content, oh mama, that was not good content. I don't enjoy looking back at my videos from last year on Series 11. So I always strive to do better and better and better than what I've ever done before. That's what I love to do. And looking back on it, I'm like, oh dear. But I started growing a Doctor Who community. I started getting Doctor Who followers, and for the first time, videos I made were getting seen by people, and those people were enjoying themselves watching it. I grew so much as a creator, I started talking to people like the Who Addicts and Crispy Pro and Council of Geeks, and people I had been so inspired by in the past, watching their content from when I was much younger to when I'm, older, all the way through YouTube. Doctor Who YouTubers like that I'd aspired to be like, I loved and idolised as these wonderful content creators, and I'm chin-wagging with them, and, possibly throwing together ideas for possible future collaborations and that sort of thing. It still strikes me today how strange that is now, but it's a thing, it's happening, and I can't thank you all enough for that. I grew so much in that year that I even got the lucky invite of being able to attend the Series 11 premiere, which I'm not going to go on about, but I'm still eternally thankful for, because it was one of the greatest days that I've ever had in my life. It was mental. It was, in a word, mental. But, Series 11 came out, all this sort of mixed reviews and this weird toxicity, and yeah, Series 11 probably wasn't the greatest and probably not the best way to end off 2018, but we're not going to get into that, because we're not here to talk about Series 11, we're here to talk about me. It's just my day to enjoy myself, and I don't really want to be trailing through comments, deleting stuff. So yeah, lots of things happened that year for me, and it was a big shift, and it kind of clicked me on to doing YouTube a lot more often. The media industry is something I want to go into in the future, and all that experience in editing, recording, script writing, I don't really do script writing, but you know what I mean, all that sort of stuff built up for this exact thing. When it came to December that year, I had enough contacts and had enough ideas that I was like, well, I'm going to do my third charity live stream. I'm going to do it for Young Minds, a mental health charity in the UK. I originally intended it to be the last one, don't know if it ever will be, because obviously university, future, I don't know where I'll be next December, whether or not I'll be able to make another one or not. If I can, absolutely will. And the reason for that is because it was a success. My aim was 1,000, I think. I was like, okay, we got 700 the previous year, 150 before that. Let's see if we can get 1,000 this year. That's a big ask, but I think we might be able to do it. And I reached out to a few people who I was now in more contact with thanks to my sudden growth of popularity in the Doctor Who community. People like Wingy Media, people like Crispy Pro, Who Addicts, Carrie's Moving Castle, an older friend, etc. Like, I just reached out to as many people as I could, and it was a success. I can't, again, if you missed that, it's still on the channel somewhere, but thank you all so much for that. That was probably one of the proudest moments I've had as a YouTube creator. We raised like over 1,400 in total for Young Minds, a brilliant mental health charity in the UK, and it was all down to the thanks to this wonderful, wonderful community that I've got, and even still now, that I just love and cherish so much. And for someone who just wanted to make some whatever content about whatever I fancied, and the fact that you have stuck around for that, not just as that, but supported and actually donated to this wonderful, wonderful cause back last December was amazing. People like Luce Spillane, Ben Cook, Beth from the Time Team, etc., Paul Connell, sharing out the live stream and the donation link and helping me out, and it was a massive, massive deal, and I honestly can't thank this community enough for that. Come on to this year, not much has happened. We've talked about Series 12. That's about it. And that's really all I wanted to really talk about. I've kind of stretched on a little bit and talked about, you know, a lot of main memories and a lot of different things that have happened, and I've probably missed out a few key details, and I'm, you know, sorry for that. But if you do have any questions about any different era of Doctor Who, you know, what I thought about it at the time, my experience, if I had any stories around it, whatever, let me know in the comments. Hopefully very soon we're going to be opening a PO box where you can send in anything you want with anything. I'm hoping you do. We put out a poll on the community tab where a decent amount of you, over 50%, said you'd either say yes, you would, or you'd consider it at least. So I'm hoping that there will be something to unbox and we'll be able to do a proper video with that, because that'll be really fun and exciting and a sort of one-off thing that I don't think I'll ever be able to do again for 10k subscribers. So yeah, it's a very exciting time. I honestly cannot thank you all enough. You know, the YouTube has given me more confidence as a person. Someone who isn't naturally as confident as a lot of people. Having 10,000 subscribers and being able to expand my passion in media and, you know, creativity and all that sort of sense, this has helped me so much as a person, confidently, and generally with my skill in editing, recording, script writing, I barely write a script, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm expanding in skills that I want to do when I'm older and expand into, and you guys have all given me the confidence to go ahead with that, and that is what I thank you for the most. Really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. But that's pretty much it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe for more. I don't know what my next goal is now. 12k by the end of the year, maybe? Who knows? Thank you all so much for watching. If you want to check out the Patreon page, that's perfectly fine. It's completely optional, but you get loads of benefits. I'm not going to go into it, but the link is in the description if you want to check it out. As is the Discord server. We talk about Doctor Who in there all the time. You can advertise your own content if you're a small YouTuber or just wanting to get your content to a new audience. Options there as well in the Discord server. So join that and feel free, join the conversation. My social media links to Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff are also down in the description, so please go and follow me on there. And that is all I really want to say today. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Ace Creeper. I always have been. What am I on about? I'll see you all next time. I hope you have a lovely day. And I'll see you all later. Bye-bye!
I'll credit him. Just for this is the last but least one.
What do the credits do?
Out now. It's Swindon.
Well, the flat doors that come with it should work.